Hey everyone, Paul Daniels here, and another daily fix. Well, it's actually night time for a change. Going back to my old habits. It's getting too hot here in summer. Got to do these things at night. So we've got a A1466, my favorite type of MacBook to work on, and this one has come in. It had some glitches in the past, about a couple of months ago. It went good again, and now it's completely died. So I'm guessing we've got liquid damage in here probably, and it's just sort of corroded through. So I guess given that the time is approaching midnight, better get straight to it and see what we can find. Alright, screws are out. See what we got. See what goodies we can find in here. We've got the usual smearing of usual sort of wear and tear. And I can already see there's liquid damage here. It's not a lot, but there is stuff there. Let's see, have a look at here. Oh yeah, very obvious there. You can see the telltale liquid damage indicators all showing up there. Alright, so it's definitely sucked up some things it doesn't want to. So I'm going to say this is pretty much going to be a take the board straight out. We know we're going to have to deal with something on the underside. I suppose we should plug in and see what happens. Let's see. Instant green light. No power up. Alright. This might be a little more interesting than straightforward, which I guess we should be happy about. Makes for interesting videos. Right. Get all the things we don't need out of here. And as always, I take the battery out. It really does simply make working with these boards a lot easier. Particularly when you're at the stage where you're putting the board in and out. Having that battery there just gets in the way of the keyboard and keyboard backlight connectors. Okay, so I've already got issues. It's that whatever that is under there, that's pretty much probably going to be gone. It's probably done damage to the PCH 105 switch line. That's all dead. No stuff, I should rather say. That is a really big blob for what that is. Oh, yeah. Well, you're completely ruined. Amazingly, it seems to have missed the clock in the BIOS area. So we may just have a janitorial job here. No, we probably going to have... Oh, geez, it looks like some sort of salty water too. SMC area is a wreck. Backlight's fine. .3v3 mux seems fine. Another oversized blob. They're really going for the oversized blobs here. Alright, so yeah, we'll brush off all this hair. We'll flux and boil these bad areas. I'm a little concerned about the SMC. I'll have a look down the edge here, see if I can see anything. And we do have the corrosion on the other side too, of course. Yeah, I really hope that wasn't anything too important. I do not know my way around that area well enough yet. Okay, so what do we got here? Yeah, that's not a problem. Surface junk. It's a test pad. Hopefully that hasn't... Well, that's eaten through to the via. But since it's just a test pad, hopefully that won't be a major problem. Actually, since we're getting the green light... Oh man, what happened here? Okay, fortunately not too bad. I think these are all non-connect. Or ground. That one's... okay, we got lucky there. That could have done more damage. Looks like we've got a roach there. Keyboard area looks good. TPS 51980. You are definitely going to have to come off. I'm not even going to chance it. I'm just going to replace that. This might require a certain degree of just windshield wipering, clear everything off. Taking a while to come off this one. And those pads pretty much demonstrate why we have to take those off. Not much left of some of those. At least it doesn't look like it. A few of those test pads have eaten all the way through, and they form part of the trace that goes to the component from here to there, etc. And so when the test pad eats through, then we lose the connection. So all of these are going to need cleaning up. This one here is probably a complete goner. Complete disaster. Kind of pretty. And most of those are going to require traces put back in. The janitorial level on this is gonna go to level 7 out of 10. See what our continuity is like with a few of these. Yep. See, there should be continuity between. See, no continuity, so that's broken. What about you? Okay, but I'll probably do this one anyway. Complete. See how it's got that orange corroded copper look? That's got to be all cleared up. What about you? Okay, you're good, but again, you're corroded. You have absolutely nothing left there. So you're going to have a trace. Yeah. I did quite a job on that. Now, there's another one here between this. You're dead too, so that's probably no good. Yeah, you're intermittent. So there's going to be a fair bit of work here. Fortunately, it shouldn't be too bad for the fact that the pads themselves are still there. So that does make our life a lot easier. The fact that the pads are still intact. And since the chip does not rest completely on the pads, we can just attach our wires to the very edge and it will go through just fine. I'm just scraping back all the nasty. So we've got some clean surface to work from. Yeah, you're a complete waste job here. Probably going to replace this resistor here. There's test pad up here, it could be a problem. We just want to see if that actually has a veer in there or what it's like. You can't really tell until you scratch back all the corrosion. Alright, looks like that should be okay. Sometimes these test pads will have a veer in them, and so you do have to rescue them. Let's get that off. Or do we save that to the last? Choices. Time to bring out the X-Acto knife and scratch back all that coating, conformal coat on the board. We want to see exactly what we're dealing with here. Okay. We also want some area to put our tracks down. We might have to reinforce this one. Let's have a look. Okay, you look like you should be okay. What about you? Any corrosion under you? Seem okay. I actually quite enjoy these jobs. There's something quite therapeutic about cutting out all the corrosion and fixing it up. Just feels good. So overall it would appear the two primary culprits are this one here and this one here. We'll have a look on the schematic and board view and see what they are. Oh, this is actually a 3437 board. We're looking at this chap here. So this pin here, 3v35 S5. So guessing pin 15. Compensation network. Alright, it's not a major issue, that one. And then down here, well, that's our main power supply line, I think. Pin 23. And there we go, V-in. So what's this chip actually? This is our S3, let's see, S4 and S5, 5 volt and 3v3. So yeah, you wouldn't really get very far without these. Now, what's that resistor that we're looking at? It's this one here, 8141. S5 power good, right. So if that is no good, then the system wouldn't be told that we have good power. Well, it's probably actually okay. It's 100k and it's 100k, so it looks terrible, but it's actually okay. I still might replace it though, just out of abundance of caution. And I'll do that before I get on with the traces. Because the traces are going to require a little more delicate work, and I don't want to be doing coarse work with those traces around. I suppose I could have put the chip down and everything, but then I probably would have forgotten by then that I had to replace this. Alright, time to steal from a donor. It looks like we're going to be stealing from both of them as well too. So we'll take the chip and the resistor. Take the resistor first. Naturally, of course, some numbskull forgot to prepare the pads. Fancy that. Alright, let's prepare our areas where we want to end up putting the wires. There's some flux down there. We know this thing's got to go into the ultrasonic, so there's no harm in getting the flux all around. Let's pick ourselves a strain for the job. I'll do this one first. I really like this wire. The enamel comes off it so easily. With heat, that is. Without heat, it sticks around, no problem. Beautiful. Now to the top one. Also got to see where I'm going. Now, if you're wondering about the wire that I used, it's actually wire that's used for crystal radio antennas. I think it's called lens multi-wire, something like that. The individual strands are enameled, and they're around about, don't quote me on this, but I think they're about 4 thou in thickness, around about that. So it's thicker than the normal fingerprint repair M1 type repair wire, but it's also thinner than your usual 0.1 mil type stuff. So it's 0.05 mil, around about that, which I don't think is 5 thou. Yeah, anyway, the fingerprint type wire, touch sensor type wire, I mean, is around about 0.02. So this is 0.05. I'll put a link in the description. It's also, I've mentioned it a few times before, but it's really nice wire to use. It's probably quite old. I don't know if it's manufactured anymore, but you can certainly still get it on eBay from places like Ukraine or somewhere like that. Alright, so those are set up. I might just put a little bit of, fix up the pads. Actually, I should really get rid of that big blob in the center pad. Well, we should have left a reasonable amount on there to do the job. Someone needs more flux. See what happens when you don't have enough flux? It does all this weird behavior. It also doesn't help that that's probably junk solder. That's some crazy alloy of the old leaded solder, lead-free solder, mixed with the leaded. And that's what happens when you do that. It gives that bizarre, contaminated alloy. I'm going to have to fix up this pad a bit more. Ah, shoot. Well, good thing we tested it. We'll just have to create our own pad now. That's going to be fun. It's been holding by the skin of its teeth and then gave up. I believe that was the one that we thought was intermittent before too. I think I might remove that cap. The end caps on it are starting to break away. Well, I guess we get to use the wire a bit more. Well, what we're going to do is we'll put the cap down first, and that will provide a suitable anchor for our wire. Okay, so we've got ourselves a bit of a fake little pad there. That should do the trick nicely. Let's try to pin this down for extra security. Hopefully we don't mess it up. I was misbehaving slightly because that's actually alcohol, not flux. Well, it's certainly not going to win any beauty awards. But I'll get the green goo down, secure those lines. Just like a little dollop there, a little dollop along here, and there. Just to hold it steady, particularly when we do the chip reflow. That should do the job nicely. Alright, while we're waiting for that UV to cure, we'll get this chip off because we need that one to replace the one that was on the board before. Okay, so we should have pin 1 down bottom right. Just test the hardness. That stuff's cured. Just going to add a teensy tiny bit more solder to the grounding pad. That'll do it. Hopefully I got that on about right. Be careful of that pin there. Alright, let's have a look at the SMC area where we had those issues. Do a flux and boil. Now I could go and check to see how things are. Yeah, power it up, give it a boot. But I'd rather just at least give these guys a chance to get a bit of a clean up before I power up. Because if it comes up good, then I can pretty much probably just put it in the ultrasonic and it'll get rid of the rest. This little one here gives me a bit of concern because that is a fair bit of power in that area, that filter. I've had one before where it ate all the way through the board. Okay, that's a little bit overly dramatic. It didn't go all the way through the board. But it ate away a reasonable amount way through. Okay, this area here is probably a big problem. So we're going to scrub it with some alcohol first, just to get the hair and fluff off. Give us half a chance of at least seeing what we're dealing with. And I can already see we've got circuit board. See this? Oh yeah, there you go. So that's some moderately nasty corrosion there. Now we need to scratch that back until we don't get it anymore. Now that there, I think, oh, that just completely came off, so you were definitely a goner. This could be a bit of a trickier section, purely for the fact that We've got some bad corrosion going through the pads here, and oh boy. What a mess. You gotta marvel at the fact that these computers keep running as long as they do with this level of corrosion. This one here could be concerned. So the pad is quite corroded, but there is a veer in there. I think we're good though. I think we managed to... The veer's got some good copper there, and the pad around it's got some good copper, so we should be right. I have no idea what to think about this area here. I don't know what's going on. Whatever was there is not there now. What a mess. Getting a better idea now though. Alright, so this is going to have to be joined, and I think our missing resistor was here, and of course everything is corroded there, so that's going to be fun. Not even the slightest bit of pad there. Seems every time I think I've gotten to the end of the corroded pads, I find another one that's completely chewed through. I wonder who gave up first. This area? Or the 3v3 5-volt generator area? Let's have a look at the 3437 donor and see if we can see similarities. This is the area here. So what we have is... Alright, this probably doesn't need to be rebuilt because it doesn't look like it goes anywhere. This resistor is the one that fell off. Unfortunately, because this one's come up through a via up to here to the test pad, and then I'm presuming this is, well, it's some sort of ground, but I'm guessing all of these are connected by the looks of it. We will just 100% verify. I think my tips are dirty. Alright, let's try that again. Yep. Okay, so this pad here and the resistor, they can go between them. And we need to take that resistor anyway. So that's where it was sitting. So really what we could do is we could just put it up here and grind away a little bit of the coating up here and just do that and be fine. So we'll put our resistor away somewhere, scratch ourselves off a bit of copper. It's not very pretty, but it will do the job. And it saves us having to run more wires. The only downside is that it will take more heat to get stuff there. And the reason being is because it doesn't have what we call thermals around the pad. Now what thermals are is, like with a large plane of copper like this, it can be very hard to get heat into the pad because it just keeps getting wicked away into the rest of the plane. So what you do is, around a small pad on a large plane, is you take notches around the pads so that you've only got little connections from the pad to the main plane, and these are what we call thermals. See if I can find a better example somewhere else just after I do this. Without thermals, you would find you have a greater failure rate on a lot of electronics in the reflow process. Actually, the legs here, I'll show on the other board. There we go, where were we? Yeah, the legs here, see they're all part of this. So this here, that does not have any thermals around the pads. But these ones do. So even though they're all part of the same big copper plane up here as well, they have put little holes around the pads, and that allows enough heat to build up on the pads so that the solder can reflow and stick and do its job properly. If you just put a big fat copper plane there, like we have with this one, with a part this small, it probably would not reflow properly. We probably can get away with it here because this is a much larger part, much larger pads, and so it probably can get more heat. Also, these legs, they are on this particular type of chip, they are exposed, so the heat can get in and around the legs to warm up the whole copper pad. So that's why that one doesn't have thermals, but this one does. Well, it looks like a train wreck. Let's get some flux down there. Try to clean up some of those parts. They got a little bit of corrosion around them. And bring them some honest, good leaded solder happiness. Yeah, they're looking much better, those parts. Much better. Alright, so that's that bit done. What else did we have? I know there's the stuff on the other side. There was the SMC area. Yeah, we need to clean that up. Like, poor little pads like that. Whoa, and you're a goner. Yep, good thing we checked. Okay. This one shouldn't be too bad, this should just be a drop-in replacement. What's happened is the corrosion got in under the pad. Turned the solder pad into junk, and of course it just lifted off. Again, we're dealing with that greyish, it's almost like tin pest look in its appearance. It's not tin pest, but it has that look. So, what are you? You're in the middle of nowhere. I think it's you. Yeah, so we got resistor, pad resistor cap. Now the trick here is that the pad is almost gone. There we go. The pad resistor cap, that's the one. Ooh, we got a spotted one over the other side. We'll get to that in a second. Ah, for flip's sake. Try to clean up something and made it worse. How unusual. Come on. Right, this test pad here looks okay, it's alright. It just had that greenish tone that indicates that it's corroded out. But we have spotted this. Let's see. You are corroded on the far side, but that test pad's gone. Here we go again. Oops. That shouldn't be an issue. The reason being is I thought this pad was associated with this bit over here, but it's not. I'll still clear it up though, just to stop the corrosion migrating. And there's no veer in there. A couple of these parts could do to just have a little bit of a touch up. You moved. You moved when you should not move. You should not be moving, but you are. It's a pretty simple test. What you do is just work on one side of the part, and if it starts moving around quicker than it should, then you know you've probably got a problem on the other side. Visually, well, the parts didn't look that great. I wouldn't have picked it for being one that was about to drop off. Someone added too much flux. Right, we'll just have to check those tracks a bit more. That looks a little corroded up there. It's probably not corroded all the way to the bottom, but we do just want to cut away any corrosive material building up in there. Okay. So it looks like the cap we need. I'm deliberately leaving those solder pads filleted like that, just to jump over any junk areas. Alright, I'm gonna have to lift up this sucker. I really wanted to just leave him there, but I can't live with myself if I don't lift it up. I want to see how bad it's damaged underneath. This is going to be quite hard to get off at times. Yeah, I'm glad I lifted that up. That's a wreck. Yeah, I think I'll get a replacement one of those. It might have lasted for another year or two, but then it would have died. The worst thing is, because I would have ultrasonicked it, it would not have had any hints left for the next person that had to deal with it. Which, yeah, could have been Lewis. I mean, as much as Lewis may have deserved it, it still wouldn't be nice. Because he'd probably give it to Paul. And that's really not nice. Alright, we got a steel one. I know the donor board did not have one there. Alright, you're still pretty ugly, but you'll do. Earlier today I ran out of 820000165 SMCs. And now I'm running out of general bits on 3437s, so I'm going to have to order more of both again. It's definitely the more common board for me to have to get donors for. What? What? You just left your leg behind, buddy? Oh, I have to get another one. Does the 165 have that in the same spot? Oh, it does. Lucky me. The 3437 and the 165 do share a lot of common parts, but often what happens is the part that you actually want is the part they don't have common. It's beaten up on the edge here, but I'm just hoping that's superficial. Can't believe the leg fell off the other one. To be fair, there's probably... this part is fairly, I think, generic. And I would be able to find quite a few of them elsewhere. It would help if it didn't get sucked into the flux tube. Come on, out you come. Now, if you're... yeah, I can see it. That there is a little precarious. I might have to run a wire. Not much of a wire, but a wire nonetheless. Wow, it's getting late. Now there is connectivity in there, but I just don't trust it. Where did my part go? Oh, that's so frustrating. Where did the part go? It was in the tube, now it's gone. Seriously? I swear I squeezed it out. Where are you, part? Alright, guess we're just gonna have to find out where we can get other donors. Okie doke. So, let's see. This is the part we're after. Q5158. And that is a blah 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 blah, whatever that is. Right click, and that will collect that. I'm going to find a part. Paste. I think we'll drop the yeah, we'll search for that. Search. As you can see, that part is everywhere. It'd be funny if it doesn't show up. Yeah, there we go, 34, 37. The other thing we can do is we can actually just search for MMVT 3904. MMVT 3904 LP7. Interesting, it is not anywhere else. That's the only one. Fantastic. Maybe I do have 34, 37 elsewhere. We've got a 165. We'll take the 165. Can't believe how many. What's that? 4 now? Come on. That bottom right leg seems particularly difficult to get off. Okay, now we had the corrosion on the other side, and that was... Have I got the right board? Okay, that actually doesn't look like it was any real issue, but we'll just flux it up and have a look. Again, probably overkill. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get anything out of that. Looks like that one's just going down, down, down into the rabbit hole. I can see the tip of the... I can see the tip of the beer in there, but I don't think it's at all important. No, I think that'll be fine. We'll just leave that alone. Alright, at this point I think we are now finally ready to have a shot. Powering it up. Just do one more check. Make sure I haven't missed any colossal festation of... Did we put that chip? Yeah, we did. Funny, I had no idea if I put that chip back on. You're a bit dusty, but you don't look like you're corroded or anything. Now there was that one beer over here. Test pad / beer. That I felt... Oh, I know, it was this one under here. That's all good. Okay, let's give it a whirl. Alright, looks like I made a mistake, left the camera running on the wrong part. Anyway, we put that transistor back. It is actually a BJT as opposed to a MOSFET. Everything else looks like it could be ready to run. See if we get ourselves the beloved fan spin. Whether it goes bang. What's going on here? Okay. So here we go. Nice. We don't even get a flippin' green light anymore. Oh yeah, we do. Still no fan spin. Alright. Couldn't be that lucky. $3.42. Yep. Oh no. 8.5. Yeah, that's. Oh no, that's right. Yeah, we're dealing with a. Yeah, we're dealing with the right board. All right. See if we've got PM Sleep S4L. No, that's not it. That's it. Oh no, no S4L. Seriously? Alright, time to go through the rails. Let's check out G3 Hot, RTC. Wow, we don't have an RTC G3 Hot? Seriously? Alright, yeah, we've got a lot of issues here. We have 3v3S5. Should be up here, I think. Yeah, we got. Yeah, we got 3v3S5. We really should have PP3. We should be getting something out of here. 0.134. That kind of. That's an odd value to have. So let's see what if it's short to ground. Yep, we've got a short to ground on that line. All right. Well, one culprit can be that cap itself, the otherwise it can be the chip. Now these chips do often go bad. We'll try the cap. Otherwise it's a bunch of stuff over here that line goes to. And the CPU. So all of it goes down to here, and then these 4 caps up here. I'll be very surprised if they're shorted out. So really hoping we've either got a bad cap or the actual clock generator chip itself is dead. Okay, let's go for cap. Let's see where we are this time. No, we're still shorted. Now remind me that I'll put that cap there. You know I'm not going to remember. There's a little bit of yuckiness in there, so not a lot, but it might have been enough. Oh, that's trouble. Oh boy. That's really not what we wanted. One ohm. That's a pretty serious short. Well, the upside of it being a 1 ohm short means it should be comparatively easy to work out where it is if we do some injection of voltage. Yes. Yeah. I really hope it's not the CPU. Well, in this case we may be able to sidestep the need to inject voltage simply because there's only 3 caps left on that line. So we should be able to just knock them off. And it's just these 3 here. So the first thing we're going to do is there is a bit of corrosion look stuff here. So get this blob off, hopefully without damaging that glass chip. Come on bro, get off. Goddamn blobs. There we go. Physically, I cannot see any of them having any damage there. But, who knows? I'm doing that so it's easier for me to get them off. So is that it? Even worse. Yeah, let's just get them all off. How about now? Oh, that's so bad. So bad. Ah, that's so bad. What's even worse is that when I measure the resistance from here, it's slightly higher, which means that the short is down by the CPU area. Oh, that is so sad. Alright, so we didn't have any luck there. It's definitely not going, and it took a bit of checking around and going insane till about 2:30 in the morning trying to work out what was up. But there's no hope for this one. I'll show you why. So here we have the PCH component of the CPU module, and what do you know, it's as cracked as anything. It's a really nasty, it's not the worst. I've seen some real spectacular ones. This one's semi-spectacular. I might just try to lift this off for a bit of entertainment. But so this seems to be happening with a few of them lately. Oh, there we go. That's some nice dye exposure there. Oh, that's pretty damn fancy, actually. Let's go in and have a look. And we can work out Intel's secrets. It must be just a huge amount of heat that builds up and pops them out. Oh wow, there we go. We can actually see where the fault origin might have been. So there's some pretty fancy schmancy looking stuff there. Zoom in a bit more. Amazing that they can get so many billions of transistors to work together reasonably well, that we get our machines like we do. That's some pretty decent looking stuff. Oh, we were able to get that off. Well, what a mess. Okay, so what's the bet that this here corresponds almost directly to where that ball is on the other side? So that is 23.7 millimeters from the lower edge and 65 from the fan edge. And what do you know? Right there. There is the PPV RTC G3 Hot, and I bet you that's gonna be about 23 from the. Come on. There. 24.4. It's close enough. Yep. So for some reason the G3 Hot line completely destroyed the PCH. Or maybe the PCH completely destroyed itself and took out the G3 Hot line. So we can pop out more of this. I'm genuinely not even sure what to think about that. I mean, look at this. There's a whole nother area. So let's see, that's a little closer in, but the same. So somewhere around about here is where the other failure occurred. Well, it's a disaster. We know that much. Okay, I've just checked on the board view, and this area here is 1VO5. So probably, I'm going to guess that 1VO5 actually had problems and caused the subsequent damage, which then also showed up on the PPV RTC line. That would be my guess, because I don't think the PPV RTC line just doesn't have the amount of power to do this sort of damage, I would imagine. That's quite something. So there we have it. Looks like it might have been our 1VO5 line that took out everything else. That's a real shame. I do like the 3437 boards. The 00165 is a little less, but certainly overall the A1466 is one of my preferred machines to work on. We spent 2 hours doing all that other rework on the corrosion side. Was it a waste? Yeah, sort of. But on the upside, that is more practice, more skill building, so it's not a complete and utter waste. Will I be checking for the PCH cracks in future for this sort of thing before I do any work? Maybe I will. I guess, if you take the heatsink off and check, you can pretty quickly see if the PCH is busted through or not. And given that we're seeing more occurrence of this, more of this happening for whatever reason, maybe it will become a bit more of a standard check that I do before I really dive into things more. Guess we'll see. So anyway, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.